Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as a thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, I am back home from vacation. I'm back in my home studio, so the audio quality should be better. But we got some big news to cover, guys. Big day, big announcement from the Trump administration. The US government is about to reopen and much more. And we see Bitcoin right now trading just below $106,000 on the daily chart. We're seeing a bounce, and it looks just like we've seen throughout this bull market, where Bitcoin went below the 200-day moving average. That's the bull market line in the sand, and then starts to recover because we know nothing good happens below that 200-day moving average. If you are below that in a downtrend, you are in a bear market, right? I've said that ad nauseum. And on that same daily chart, the RSI is moving away from the oversold zone. So you have extreme fear, you have Bitcoin oversold, and you have these huge narratives in the market. Now we have work to do. I'm not calling home saying this is the start of the reversal pump, because on the weekly chart, the bears are still in control. But on the higher time frame of the monthly chart, the bulls are still in control. So we got work to do here. Bitcoin has a lot of support levels to reclaim so that we can say, hey, this is indeed the reversal and the continuation. So please understand what I'm saying. We are seeing some positive signs, but we got work to do. Now, one important thing is that Bitcoin has corrected just about 22%. So not even as bad as we've seen throughout this bull market, where we've seen a minus 32%, 33%, and so forth. So this is nothing, even though people have been so fearful, right? People have been calling the top of the market and much more. So here, analyst Michael Pozzino says this is the same as 4 out of the last 6 corrections. But the important thing is, guys, Bitcoin closed the weekly very strong. So here, Benjamin Cohen says Bitcoin managed to close above the 50-week SMA. So that's a key support level. Now it has to get back above that 200-day moving average, like I said, but we are seeing positive signs. Here, analyst Kevin Svensson said Bitcoin has closed its weekly above all key levels. The macro bull trend remains intact. So again, guys, this is just the data, not feelings, not emotions, not hopium, just the data showing that it did close above the key support levels. And like I said, we don't want to call home and say this is the reversal pump yet. We want to see the market show us and give us confirmation. So Bitcoin needs to put the work in here. But we got the macro factors and the narratives. For example, the Senate reaches the deal to end the government shutdown. So it looks like the government's going to be fully open tomorrow. Now, I've been sharing these respective milestones and landmark events and narratives for a long time, right? I've been sharing it in my newsletter, on the podcast. So I said some of the key factors that show this bull market is not over include the Fed ramping down QT and starting QE and continuing rate cuts, the government reopening. Plus, you got the market structure bill still in the Senate, and you got the altcoin ETFs to be approved by the SEC. So with the government reopening, we're going to see the latter two get done, guys. And of course, we got confirmation from Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, that they're ending QT come December 1st. Plus, the New York Fed governor just said on Saturday or Friday that they're going to return to QE very soon. I reported on that, right, folks? So all of these things are lighting up here very beautifully. And then you throw in President Trump says Americans will get at least $2,000 dividend payment, excluding high income earners. So he wants to use the tariff revenue to give Americans the dividend. Now, I know this is a whole can of worms. There's a whole political debate. I understand the tariff implications and how that was already like taxing people and much. I'm not here to talk about that. I'll save that for the political podcast to handle. But the fact of the matter is, if they are going to indeed do this, this is going to drive retail to come in. And, we're going to see something like what we saw in 2020, where you got these stimmy checks and people are, investing in the markets. Now, will everybody invest in the markets? Of course not. There are actual people who need it. They need to, pay their bills and much more. So we want to be cognizant of that. But a good amount, they're going to go put it into the market. We've seen this time and time again. And this, I think, could spur the retail FOMO. Because one of the things I've been saying nonstop is, when have we seen the market top without true euphoria or greed? We didn't see euphoria. All we saw was fear. So I said that is not right. History is not on the side of people calling the market top. So again, right, we've been looking at this market holistically. You got a lot of chart guys who don't understand macro and market fundamentals. I've been giving you that plus the charts, right? You have to look at all of these things together, not just one. You can't have tunnel vision. So be careful with some of these chart guys who are not telling you about global liquidity, who are not telling you about what the Fed is doing with quantitative easing, because you can't just look at those things, and you can't just look at the charts. You have to look at them together to get a full view of the market, right, guys? So hope you appreciate that. So, we'll see. Trump posted on Truth Social about this. Now, Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, he kind of backtracked some of it, but look, I think Trump sees there's a bit of a need for this politically because of what happened recently with the elections. Plus, the Supreme Court is going to be reviewing the tariff situation. So I don't know, maybe they push it back and this is the way to make up for it. I don't know, right? I'm just guessing, but I think those are plausible scenarios. So let's see. But this would add fuel to the fire. This is the cherry on top of the sundae as you have retail FOMO in with their tariff stimmy checks, if you want to call it that. Now, I like what Nate Geraci had to say, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. Government shutdown equals spot crypto ETF floodgates opening. So the SEC will be able to get going on these. And he says, in the meantime, we could see the first 33 Act spot XRP ETF launch this week. So like I said, the government opening allows the SEC to do their job and the Senate to get that crypto bill through. So these are major milestones for the crypto market. And like I said in the most recent podcast, I don't think the market makers and the whalers are dumb like that to skip these things, which could drive massive retail FOMO and kick us into a massive rally to the blow off top, honestly, right? So that's just what I'm thinking. Look, it's not guaranteed, but I think if we think logically here, realistically, we look at all the things and all the factors that are happening, I think those are plausible scenarios. Now, Arkham, which is a crypto analytics firm, they highlighted that Trump Media and Technology Group holds over $1 billion of Bitcoin. That's pretty crazy. Over 1.3 billion of Bitcoin as of September 30th, 2025. Incredible. So look, I know there's a whole political conversation here, but I'm just looking at it from an investment standpoint. Again, I'll save the political commentary for political podcasts, right, guys? And look, you're free to share your comments in the comment section. I understand, but just note that I'm not going into these political talking points because that's not what we do here. But this right here is confirmation that I think Trump and his family, they're betting big because they know what's coming. Again, you got to read between the lines here, right? So I don't think they would be holding this asset if it's about to dump and go down to, the bear market bottom, as some people are saying. I think they will sell as we're nearing the top. So we're going to watch all of these things closely. Now, folks, this episode is brought to you by VeChain. VeChain is one of the top layer one enterprise blockchains in the market. I've been a VET token holder for many years. I'm very bullish on this project. And some of the key features of the VeChain blockchain includes it's secure, affordable, scalable, fast, and sustainable. Some of the brands working with VeChain include BMW, Walmart China, Givenchy, PwC, even Boston Consulting Group. They're doing some amazing projects with Boston Consulting Group. And they're also partnered with Dana White in the UFC. Most recently, Dana White said that he purchased $1 million of the VET token. And recently, VeChain launched staking via Stargate. So once again, folks, I am a VET token holder. And if you'd like to learn more about VeChain, go to vechain.org. Link will be in the description. Now, look at this, folks. Big news coming out of the CFTC. So U.S. regulator that may rule over digital assets pushing towards crypto spot trading. So this is coming out from Commissioner Caroline Pham. She's the acting commissioner. So it says here, Caroline Pham, the acting head of the CFTC, the agency likely to take over much of the U.S. oversight of crypto trading, has been meeting personally with regulated exchanges to get retail spot crypto products rolling, sources say. The stand-in leader of the commodities regulator is also said to be seeking to establish a dedicated trial unit in its enforcement division, which has been recently depleted amid the widespread cuts in the federal government or federal employment. Another policy priority will be the allowance of stablecoins as tokenized collateral earlier next year, though it's uncertain whether Pham will have moved on by then, with what sources indicate is her plan to work at MoonPay. So the CFTC, it's a bit thin when it comes. It is a bit of a skeleton crew running it right now. But shout out to acting chair Commissioner Pham, because she's been doing an amazing job despite the lack of manpower at the CFTC, if you want to put it that way. And we see her, really spearheading a lot of crypto initiatives. And the SEC in parallel has been doing the same thing. And I think they're all trying to get this market to a certain place where more capital can come in. And of course, that's very good for us who are early adopters. Now, look at this news. Ledger, the hardware company, is considering a New York IPO or fundraise as demand for hardware wallet climbs. So, folks, one of the factors I've been stating why this bull market's not over, you have many crypto companies as well as traditional tech companies looking to do IPOs. No one does an IPO in a bear market. Please show me, right? Only a fool would do that. So these people are anticipating that the bull market continues. And they are working with the big banks and the big Wall Street firms who are doing lots of analysis on this. So they're not idiots. So again, read between the lines, right? Why would they be planning IPOs? Why is Kraken, Securitize, and others looking to do that? OpenAI, right, looking to do an IPO? Come on, guys, right? This is where the chart guys they get blinded by just charts, but you got to look at what's happening in the market. So this is another sign, and Ledger is a big hardware company and another crypto company looking to go public, folks. Now, final news item: Pakistan mulls rupee-backed stablecoin as country sees $25 billion crypto opportunity. So we continue to get news from across the globe of countries embracing crypto, setting up their guardrails with their legislation, investing, launching stablecoins, trying to attract as much of the business as possible. So Pakistan is considering launching a rupee-backed stablecoin as experts warn that delays in regulating digital assets could cost the country up to $25 billion in lost economic opportunities. Folks, what have I said over the years? Any country that bans crypto is writing their economic death sentence, because the markets, the economies, and the governments will all be running on blockchain rails. So here you go. Now the narrative is coming out. Oh, we need to do this, or we're going to lose money, right? Of course, you're going to lose out on jobs, revenue, tax revenue, and all that. So speaking at the Sustainable Development Policy Institute conference on Friday, Pakistan Banks Association President Zafar Masood said the nation could unlock $20 to $25 billion in crypto-related growth, according to a report by local news outlet Daily Times. Masood pointed out the booming global stablecoin market, adding that Pakistan is seriously considering a rupee-backed stablecoin and that a central bank digital currency, CBDC, could improve financial access while reducing remittance costs. Folks, I hope you see the direction the puck is heading in here, and we want to skate to that direction, right? So make sure you're looking at this market from a macro perspective. There's money to be made here, but you got to be patient. It's a roller coaster ride because markets are volatile, and crypto, because it's still very young, is extremely volatile. But that's where the opportunity lies, because nothing moves like this. Nothing gives you the swing up. And look, you got the swing down, which is pretty bad. But this is where we are going to follow it closely, look at the different signals, and identify the top zone so we can start taking our profits. And when the bear market rolls around and it's bloody out there and people are calling crypto a scam again, I'll be backing up the truck, and hopefully you'll be here with me doing the same thing. And we're going to rinse and repeat for the next bull cycle. So again, this bull market's not over based on the data, the facts, and all the things I've shared so far, and much more. I've often covered in detail in my newsletter. There's much more to this. And we want to make sure we're checking our emotions at the door. We're not operating by emotions, because you will get wrecked if you're approaching the market that way. You got to look at the data, and you got to exercise a lot of patience, right, folks? So again, it's not over. And I think we still got, a final fifth wave, macro fifth wave, if you call it that, from an Elliott wave standpoint, before this market tops out. And look, not just the crypto market, but the stock market as well, because all of these assets are following global liquidity. What have we seen over the past 2-3 years? Crypto hitting new highs, stock market hitting new highs, real estate and precious metals, right? Gold was going nuts. You guys saw the parabolic blow off top. If you look, it might be a local top, but that sure looked like a parabolic blow off top. So let's see what happens with gold. And we don't have a crystal ball, but we're going to look at the data and continue to study this closely. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed as yet. And folks, a great way you can support the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. I will be putting out a write-up tomorrow. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.